Great. Okay, welcome everybody. Let me start the recording here in just a second, and then we'll get rolling. Those of you who could make it here live, I very much appreciate it. And for those of you listening to the replay, you can always leave anything in the comments that you'd like to touch on, perhaps for next time or to do a further video or process around. So I'll start recording on the computer. Okay, hey everybody, thanks so much for joining me. Welcome to Reconciling with Money. If you're not familiar with it, I do have a free course with this title, Reconciling with Money, which goes into a lot of areas using inner work, processing, feeling into what your feelings, emotions, body tension, beliefs, all the good stuff around everyone's favorite subject of money. I've worked with very, very few people who don't have this as something they either want to improve on, if not feel outright tension, stress, and anxiety around. Unfortunately, these tools and processes and different things that we've been studying all this time, that I've been studying with other teachers and facilitating for some years now, are very good at tackling those parts of our lives, those where we feel stress, where there's tension. So today's call's going to be approximately 60 minutes long. You can also enter any money-related issues if you're joining us live here into the chat. You can be as specific or as general as you like. So if you want to keep things pretty anonymous and general, by all means you can do that. But if you have a very specific issue that you would like to dive into a little bit more specifically, we're happy to do that too. And because we have a small group today, if anyone wants to actually work live, meaning you will hear your voice and we can interact in that way, you can raise your hand if you're here on Zoom. If you're not here on Zoom, if you're watching this on YouTube and you would like to know how to be on Zoom, sign up for the email list, which you would be if you get the free course around this money subject, or just signing up for the list in general. So also the replay, like I said, will be here on YouTube. If you're watching it there, I'll post the recording up to Facebook as well as the webpage there, innerwork.space. That's sort of the online classroom where all the stuff happens. And the free calls are all there in a free call section. So just a few links. These will be in the chat. You can click on these inside the chat, not on the screen, but on the chat section if you want to join any of these. Facebook group, which is where we kind of stay in touch and ask questions during the week, as well as be notified about these calls. The YouTube channel, which some of you may be watching this there. I'd love it if you subscribe. And on the blog, there's a 30-minute session given away each month to one person who's engaging in the conversation there. So I always appreciate that. Of course, I'm not a licensed therapist, doctor, psychologist, medical professional of any sort. While I do have certifications and the sort of techniques we use here, it's not qualified to diagnose, treat, or give medical advice of any kind. So please take this for what it is. While there can be tensions released and benefits, which is of course the whole point of this, I don't consider it to be a substitute for medical or psychological care in any way. And I don't endorse any philosophy about this. I'm grateful for the medical staff that's recently performed surgery on my knee, which I'm still dealing with now. So if you agree to do any of these processes and dig into this stuff, which can get, pretty heavy depending on what's going on for you, you have to agree to take your responsibility for your own well-being. There's an option to donate if you feel so inclined. That's there in the chat. And if you're really interested in supporting any of these or having some more people join us live, more than donating, one of the best things you could do is just, if you know someone interested in this type of work, let them know about it. Or send them the free Reconciling with Money course. You can also subscribe or like, as I said, that would very much help me out. And the sessions, you all know about that. So let's stop that. Okay, now, as far as this subject with money, we had one person to type in saying they'd like to have money flow into their life more easily. And yes, I think just about very few people on the planet would disagree with that sentiment. But there's all sorts of varying degrees of comfort around that idea, including even, I would say, an aversion to doing work or actually doing things for money can be just as much a holdback and just as much a thing that stops people from having a better financial situation. Is almost this attachment to, well, it's supposed to be easy, meaning that when anything does come up that would require some work or require some effort, even though it may feel like we're struggling and efforting all the time, there's a certain pushback against it. Like there's this resentment inside of ourselves saying, nah, I shouldn't have to do this, instead of just kind of being present and just doing it, whatever it happens to be. Whether that's some of the sales aspect of whatever it is you do, if you're a musician like me, whether it's, the actual getting gigs part of the equation. So sometimes things come up in order to actually have clients, have gigs, sell whatever it is you're selling. And because there's this part of us that says, I want it to be easier than this, there's always an internal resistance and almost a dislike of anything that's actually taking place that doesn't feel immediately effortless. So let's do a couple things here to just get in the zone and start digging into this money subject a bit. As you know, with me, I like to do this thing called guided awareness, just to get us settled in and connected more to what we're feeling than to what we're thinking. So first, just take a nice deep breath. If you're in a place to do so, you can close your eyes. You can feel your feet on the floor or whatever you're connected to, the back of your chair. And as you take your next breath, just become more tuned in to the physical sensation of that breath moving through your nose or your mouth. And as you keep exploring what you're feeling physically, go ahead and direct your attention purposely to a specific part of your body. So let's say your right knee, which in my case is the one that's broken. Put your attention on your right knee. Notice that you have the innate ability to do that. It's kind of mysterious how that works, but suddenly you become aware of sensations, feelings, the presence of something that's been there during the entire time you've been awake today. But when you put your attention on it, suddenly it sort of pops into reality. And that, of course, is super useful to use not just for your right knee, which probably isn't the source of any money conflicts, but we can use that in a similar way to direct to a somewhat more subtle world of what we're feeling emotionally and how our mind and thoughts are reacting to those beliefs and ideas, and then how the body responds, that sort of complete picture of the whole thing. So just like you were putting your attention on your right knee now, take another deep breath. And put your attention on just how you would answer the question if I said, how do you feel right now, emotionally? How's your life going? How's your day going? And pause before you go into your mind to put it into words. And just like you were focused on a body part, start focusing on what the actual feeling is. And so the practice to deepen this is to be less interested in the words, sad, tight, angry, frustrated, to the real-time, moment-to-moment emotion itself, the actual experience of it, which words can't really capture, and has its own sort of life to it. And now first we'll just bring in the word money. And now that you're a little more tuned in, see how your body reacts to that. See how your emotional state reacts to that. When you introduce the subject, how do things change for you? That's super useful information, right? If bringing in a subject makes you feel excited and inspired, and suddenly like you have more energy and you puts a smile on your face, you're likely to be pretty motivated to take some action in it to have sort of nice thoughts around it, to be in a good flow around it. If you bring in a word like money, and suddenly you feel heavier, or you feel tension in a part of your body, or your thoughts, the images in your mind turn into something less than optimistic, well, that's very useful and revealing. Now, if you're somebody who likes EFT or has a physical practice, what I recommend doing is just start tapping right now. It can just be on your collarbone, or if you like any of the points. And as you do this now, just spend some time tuned in to that physical and emotional response. So you're not just observing it, you're not being distant from it. You're being present just like if you were to be present with another human being. And see if you can engage being even curious about what you're experiencing. So yeah, money. What's going on for me? So rather than describing that mentally, what's the physical experience? What's the emotional experience? Can I tune my interest, even engage curiosity as to what's going on for me? Now, if it doesn't pull you too much out of where you are right now, if any of you who are here live would like to put it in the chat, it might help us all kind of tune into what sort of the energy in the room is, the digital room is, so to speak. If everybody's like, yeah, I'm super feeling great and excited about it, that might be a little bit of a different dynamic than if people are saying, I can barely breathe. Right? And if you are just staying present and, not typing, just continue to let this unfold a little bit more. Just being present with it. Okay. So we have a feeling stupid that it's so hard to get the money I want. And we've also brought up the desire, somebody said, for money to flow into life easily. So if there's a desire for it to flow in easily, we can conclude that there's a sense of it being hard, which is also what the next person said, feeling stupid that it's hard. And we have a couple flavors here. I don't want it to be hard. Like I can't take care of myself. This is another chat that came in. And I'm feeling stupid that it's so hard to get the money I want. So, we got more coming in. Excellent. Not possible. Okay, very good. So while you're tapping or doing something physical, it can even be journaling if you like to write. It's basically we're engaging being present and then also engaging physical, which has its own set of benefits to this. And by being present with these things, as we start introducing some of these more specific phrases and ideas, take a deep breath and give yourself a little bit of acknowledgement for the fact that simply taking time out of your day to actually examine these things and be present with them, tune into your body and tap on yourself or engage your body, you are already processing emotion, processing things that are unconscious around this. So it's hard to get the money I want. Just say that to yourself. Or it's hard to earn money. It's hard to receive money. It's hard to hold on to or manage money. Let me know if any of those resonate stronger than any of the others. If earn has more of a charge to it, if receive has more of a charge to it, if they all have a charge to it, great. Just as after we've said it, bring your attention back to what you're feeling viscerally in response to that. And you can observe some of the reactions and the beliefs that come up. So now tune into that sense that wants it to be easier. This should be easier. And now observe how your body and mind and emotions respond to that. We're going to bring up a few different, we're going to intentionally kind of poke at a few different emotions here. Some were already brought up in the chat. So, I want it to be easier. Now see if you can zero in on any frustration that it's not. Frustration, a sense of actual agitation in your body and in your mind. And what I want you to do is give it permission to really let itself out. Let it swear and curse and cry and whatever is in that frustration. I'm working hard and this isn't working. Or it's not as easy as I want it to be or as I feel it should be. And you're doing this consciously, which is very powerful. So if you have this unconscious rant kind of always going on, oh, this sucks, I want it to be easy. That's one thing. But this is not quote-unquote negative thinking. We want to examine and bring up what's actually running underneath the surface, right? It's like if you have something you've wanted to say to somebody for a long time. It can be very cathartic to get the opportunity. So imagine there's parts of you active inside that never felt really listened to. It was like, yeah, money's hard, but that's negative, and so on. And let yourself really listen and zero into that frustration. Give yourself full permission to feel that frustration physically, to let it speak and actually listen to it, respect what it's saying. And see if you can relax any part of you that's trying to edit it, that's trying to self-help it, that's trying to change its negative words into positive words. And say, well, why don't I let you actually express yourself honestly? And now let's see if there's any anger there. Perhaps at money itself for not coming to you more easily. Anger at the world or how the system works for making it so hard. I know we have a musician, at least one musician myself, and one artist. So any sense of anger at whoever your customer would be. If any of us want to make money in any way, at least the concept is you're providing some type of service. So see if there's anger at your customers or your hypothetical customers. Any sense of they don't get it, people don't get it. The system is working against us. Priorities are in the wrong place. And as you're doing that, remember, be tapping or doing something physical and keep breathing into your body. So that you're transforming this stuff from just kind of the mind being angry and agitated to actually processing the anger and the agitation that's driving that thinking. And now checking for any sense of sadness. This is kind of more down on the energy scale here. Sense of heaviness. A sense of almost grieving that this is so hard and I've tried so hard for so long. And remember that you're actually, a part of you is tuning into that in such a way that you're really listening to it. So you're providing the space as sort of a internal shoulder for that to cry on, so to speak, for it to actually get it out. And keep breathing in. Letting everything process that sadness, which is they call it the grieving process, right? It doesn't have to be someone just died or something unbelievably terrible happens. There's all sorts of things that haven't really been grieved. And so it doesn't matter that it's just money, right? Or any part of you thinking that might be shallow or silly to compare it to be something you would grieve about. Just allow whatever is there, honest, edited, to come up and be felt and processed through. Okay, so that's all a little bit based on, we might call the externals. Now let's go to some of the internals here. So you can tap through the points while you say these, which is what someone brought up, which is, I feel stupid for not knowing how to make money more easily. I feel stupid for not doing what I need to do. I feel stupid for not having figured out the game. Anything else I'm feeling stupid about. So all the judgment of myself is stupid. Me not having the money I want is because of my intelligence or my lack of intelligence. And keep breathing and feeling into the physical and emotional sensations as you explore that. I must not be smart enough. Now check around. Any anger around that? I'm angry at myself for not being smarter. I'm angry at myself for not having done more. Angry at myself for not having figured it all out. I'm allowing that anger to come up. And any parts of me that are saying, well, you need to have that anger in order to motivate us to be smarter, to work harder. to do it better? Is it possible we don't need this anger as well as any frustration, sadness, self-judgment in order to actually do what we need to do, see what we need to see more clearly? Might it even be possible that this energy itself, anger, sadness, judgment, and frustration, is part of what's keeping us in the same place financially? So even though I may be holding on to some of this to protect myself or to try to motivate myself, would it serve us better to let it go? Can we let just a tiny bit go and see if it feels better? Can we give ourselves permission to experiment with it? Can we let go of anything here emotionally? Any sense of it's too hard? Any emotional energy out there at the world, at money itself, at whatever it is that makes me say it's too hard? Letting go of more and more of that. And the judgments of myself. That I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. I should have done something differently. Letting go of anything that's not actually serving us. Maybe that too was just trying to protect us. Judge myself before anyone else does. Anything protecting me from what I believe might happen if it does get easier. So allowing myself to let go of more of that. No amount of anger or judgment or blaming myself or the world will help me make more money. Whether that's energetically, whether that's being the kind of person that people want to work with, whether that's emotionally, physically being in the flow of things. So I'm willing to let go of this. All those beliefs, judgments. Letting go of it physically, letting go of it emotionally, letting go of it all the way through my history, allowing myself to be more presently clear right here, right now. Because if there are ways for money to come in easily, it's going to be awfully hard to see them when I'm holding on to all this stuff. It's going to be awfully hard to tune into that frequency that channel on the dial, if my body and my emotions are living in the world of it's too hard. So let's see if we can bring my body, my emotions, and the pictures in my mind to what would it look like? What would it feel like? What would the experience be if things did come easily? And so take a deep breath and see if you can just sort of hang out a bit in that exploration of, yeah, what would it actually look like? What would it actually feel like? And invite your mind to show it to you in a sort of way that would apply to you. If it's something where a client, you would see an email come in saying, I want to register or I want to buy. Or people at a live event of yours or a live showing saying, you know what, give me all of it. You might notice not all of us are particularly concerned with just a sack of money just falling down from the sky. I mean, we take it. But you'll find there are sort of channels that exist of how it could appear for you. Go ahead and invite up any past experience you've had where even just one sale or one good moment. See if we can sort of download this idea that, well, if my body and my emotions are actually experiencing that more often, it might make sense. It's a good hypothesis that that will lead to more of those things that match that. So if kind of more on the deeper unconscious level, and unconscious just means, remember when I put your attention on your right knee? Your right knee was probably unconscious 2 seconds ago. You bring your awareness to something, you sort of see, oh, this is what's going on there. How much of your day, week, month, year is your body, is your emotional system, the pictures in your mind, sort of a match to, yeah, this is all working out. This is not hard. It feels effortless and enjoyable even if I'm doing stuff. And again, invite it again, your mind, your nervous system, to present this to you in a not a abstract, money's effortless. Like that can sound sort of flighty and fairy tale like. See if you can make it a little more visceral and real for you. Right where we're sitting, you can, I don't know if you can see the acoustic bass over there, Someone paid me, but not bad, pretty decently to, you know, they sent me the audio, I recorded it into microphone. I enjoyed it because I love playing the instrument, right? I got to experiment, and once I got some stuff I was happy with, sent it over to them. Never left this room. Money comes in via PayPal, right? So that's not money floating from the sky, but it's kind of it's a match for sure. It's doing what I like. It's something I actually would prefer to play my bass than to just sit here all day, even if I could magically create money. I'd still rather be playing the bass, right? So how's everybody doing? What's coming up? Are you able to connect to some of that? Are you um, is any of the starting with is any of the emotion a little clearer around that, a little lighter? And also curious if you are able, and it's okay if it's even just a little breadcrumb of connecting to something that's a little bit more real for you, like a sense of, yeah, this is good. This is what a more easy relationship and a more easy experience of money coming in could actually look like and feel like for me. So I'll give you all a moment to tune in with that, see how that feels for you. Good, we got someone in the chat. Freedom, great. We cool. We have 2 chats from the same person. The beginning of that said not possible. The second one was freedom. So that is a fantastic shift. And as you're exploring that word freedom, if you're still feeling that, see if you can feel that freedom. Freedom in a way is like, I can be anything, right? Like that would sort of be what that word would represent. I'm free to do whatever. Which is a great place to be, of course. And now see from a kind of free place like that, if you can also, now that I'm free, what do I choose to see? See if you can simultaneously feel free, like what you're doing is a choice, and then go ahead and experiment with like choosing something. What would I want to see? Let me feel free and see that those sales or those commissions coming in. Create and travel. Yeah. Picture yourself getting on the plane, knowing that you've either already made enough, well, yeah, you've made enough already. You actually can buy the ticket, or someone is paying you to get on that plane. I'm not sure in your field how much of that you have in being a performing musician. Obviously, you do experience that a lot. So someone else is paying for this plane ticket. See yourself actually getting into that hotel room or the villa or whatever, amazing place. And not only are you there, but if you want to be doing this there, to actually, your tools are there in the room. Or you're one person here, I know if you have EFT clients, or you're hanging out in the hotel room or some beautiful place, Italy or something, and then you actually I got to do that last year, right? When I was traveling for music, but Zoom and Skype are everywhere. So you actually can, or someone wants to consult with you. Hey, can you help me? I'm working on this project. I need your wisdom, and how should I approach painting this, or making some extra money there. Someone just wanting your expertise, calling you up on the phone. Okay, we got some more comments coming in. Great. Angry at myself. I've seen people making lots of money in my same field giving poor quality service. Holy S. Yeah. That any artist can certainly relate to. I mean, imagine being like a great chef and you see like what McDonald's pulls in revenue. Right? It's it's not the best meat on the planet, most beautifully prepared. It's like you said, they had the courage to just put their things out, or maybe they're really good at marketing. I felt the things I didn't have, I didn't manage them because they were not good for my life. Okay, so let's hang out with that one for a moment. And I know the person that typed this in likes EFT and is actually training themselves, so I will take that approach with it. So even though I'm not making the money I want, and other people in my field are, who are not as good as I am, I choose to deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm not making the money I'd like to, in my own field, while others are, who are not as good as I am, I choose to deeply and completely love and honor myself. So even though I'm not making the money I'd like to make, and there are far less qualified people, sometimes doing really well financially, and they're not even that good at what they do. They just get it out there. They're just doing those things. Or they seem to be comfortable, maybe even more confident than they deserve to be. I have all this anger and sadness about that. So even though I have all that anger and sadness about that, I choose to deeply and completely love, honor, and accept myself. And maybe even be open to having some good feelings towards those other people. So, I'm not making the money I want. I'm not making as much as I could at my field. And I know it's possible to make money in this field. And I'm pretty sure I'm good enough at it. And how do I know this? Because I literally am seeing other people giving not just less than amazing service, but actually giving poor quality service. They're not even doing a good job, but they're making lots of money. That's a really tough one for me. A big part of me says that's not supposed to be possible. Whomever is better at it, whomever's giving better service, whoever cares more and tries harder, should be making more. That's what would be fair. That's just what makes sense. And our minds really, really don't like when things don't make sense. But this is the reality. So maybe there's a way it makes sense. It just doesn't match my view. If I held no strong opinions about this, no strong beliefs of how it should go, I could simply observe what others are doing. I could simply observe what I'm doing. I could simply observe how the world seems to be working and make my choices accordingly. It does seem like they are doing something, or being in a different way than I'm really comfortable with. Maybe I'm a bit of a perfectionist. Maybe I think I'm not ready. Maybe I'm not sure my stuff is good enough. Even though I know it's better than theirs, that doesn't satisfy that part of me. It says, well, maybe you're not ready. And all the anger and sadness, all the frustration, that even seeing that difference in skill, I still can't just force it to go my way. Or I can't just force myself to be comfortable. Can't force myself to put it out there. So all this judgment of them for putting it out there when they shouldn't. This judgment of myself. For even if I have some skills, for the things I believe I don't have. For not putting it out there enough. For not being aggressive enough, if that's how I see it. Or anything I perceive as a weakness on my part. Or anything I'm lacking. I'm choosing to let go of the judgment and the meaning about myself. If I'm not super comfortable getting out there yet, that's not a flaw in me as a human being. It's not because I'm stupid or not trying hard enough. Being comfortable, putting yourself out there, presenting myself in what I do, it's a skill. It's a challenge. There's an emotional challenge, a practical challenge, and it's completely different than the skill of my actual field. How I play the strings on my instrument has very little to do with making connections, sending emails, or putting myself out there. It's a totally separate skill. And just like other skills in my life, I can learn them. I don't need to view them as things I lack as a human being. And all the anger and judgment is just going to make it harder to approach it clearly and calmly. This is a skill I need to get better at. And maybe it's not my favorite part. Right? The guy who's talking to me right now, he clearly likes doing these calls and these processes. Right? And there's 4 people here. So clearly, he's not all about how to reach a ton of people. He doesn't know how to do that. But it's a different skill. So maybe I've just been focused on the skill I've been more interested in. Just like he's been more interested in the skill of inner work. I might be cutting him more slack than I cut myself. But it's the same thing. It's a different area. And I can choose to say, okay, I'd like to get better at that. I'd like to learn more about how that works. Maybe I can even become interested in learning and experimenting. Saying, okay. This is how I can approach the business side of things. Letting go of any identity of myself as someone who just isn't comfortable or doesn't know how to do that. Instead, those are simply things I can learn. I can learn the skill. I can become more comfortable. And as I do that, I can be someone who's comfortable, who knows how to reach more people, and actually provides a good service, which is probably better for a long-term strategy. Just allowing myself to see myself moving forward in a positive way. I can be good in my field and continue to grow and learn on all those other aspects of the field that aren't the art that aren't the art and the craft. Maybe even enjoying it. And allowing myself to focus on myself and my own growth. And maybe even, as rough as it might sound, learning and borrowing from those who are better at that other stuff. Because if it works, it works. And I can adapt it to my own way. That's a good match for me. So just seeing myself moving forward in that positive direction. And letting go of everything else that might be holding me back from doing that. Okay. Take a deep breath. Stretch yourself out a little bit. So we're coming up on the hour, so we'll kind of wrap it up. But while we're doing that, feel free to let me know Anything going on for you in the chat? Anything, any further insights you might like to share with everyone else? Any questions about how you might continue with this or go further with this? Oh, great. Someone else said that this was exactly what they wanted. So you just helped at least 3 or 4 people, because clearly it applied to me, because I even started using myself as an example, because it was very relevant to me, obviously. Oh, thanks. Yeah, we need to get you more people. Yeah, it's not, as I was saying, it's not like something I would wake up and think about, especially when we weren't on national lockdown, right? And most of my life was going from thing to thing, playing the instrument, and doing calls when I can. But yeah, same for anyone who wants to kind of starts thinking in that direction. And if you're seeing other people like with more people on the calls and it bothers you, that's how you know it's really important to you and good to keep doing that inner work on yourself. And I would say it doesn't bother me right now, but I'm feeling that interest in like, okay, yeah, if you just keep digging into the inner work and you don't ever become interested in doing more of these things. So obviously I've done a couple things, I actually sort of created the site and the blogs and the channel and all that stuff, but that's sort of like building the bottom of the house. But it's very easy to do that and then never actually do the other stuff. So thanks for pointing that out for myself as well. Yeah, that's a different skill. Different place of pointing some of your attention, right? People with my personality type, I mean, I assume I'm not alone. I'm not that unique or interesting. It's like get really, really into just getting better at what you do. And sometimes there's a sense of like, okay, if I just get really good at playing the instrument, then that's supposed to just take care of everything. Like you said, you see it all the time. You see people that are really crushing it on the business standpoint. It's like, oh, they're not even playing all that well. But they've dedicated sort of time and interest and energy into, and don't think of this, at least for me, like that means now, oh God, I got to wake up and like be reading all day about how to get Instagram followers, and that sounds terrible to me. It doesn't mean you have to become obsessed, I don't think. Um, Again, I'm careful to not talk about things I haven't actually done. But in my music life, I at least have enough of a career and people know me enough that I can survive doing that. So in that area, I can speak with a little more, real world aspect to this. But I've noticed, a difference to where I apply it there. Like I'm the personality type that could stay at home and practice my bass and just do that and be really engaged in that. And it takes effort for me when I'm in New York to go out and like, oh yeah, once I'm out, I like it, right? But it's like, yeah, I gotta like actually, make connections and go play with my friends and, you know, uh, take a lesson with somebody who I always wanted to play with and reach out and let people know, yeah, I'm interested in playing. This is kind of what I sound like. I really do want to play with you. Right? I have to let people know to some degree that like, yeah, I'm available. I'm interested. I want to do this, or I want to do EFT calls. I want you here, right? You have to kind of let people know you exist and that you want them to join and you want them to participate. And for someone like me, which I'm guessing there are many artists and others with a similar type of personality type that get drawn to this type of work. And if you're drawn to me at all, that you would even listen to me, you probably have some of that at my, sort of small group stage. It's a great thing to work on. And I will gladly share what works for me as I explore it. Assuming, hopefully, I find things that do work. But how I'm feeling internally about it, I feel like, you know, I'm gonna get to work on it for sure. So great. Any final questions, comments, concerns from anyone? Oh, great. There was someone on YouTube. Hey, it's a struggle when I hear feeling what it would like to receive money viscerally, being able to separate it with the law of attraction Material I feel skepticism towards. Okay, great. We'll leave on just a little comment on that. Just um, if you have something, I think most of us do. In this case, you might want to explore from almost a memory standpoint. Anytime you made even a cent doing something that you didn't hate, right? Did anyone ever even just throw you a couple bucks for doing something that you were like, oh, that's cool that they paid me. I actually kind of liked being here. I liked spending whatever time I spent doing this. I enjoyed this project. I don't care if it was carrying things for somebody, right? The point is to not have all of your inner work around this be that like, okay, I'm visualizing $1 million, and that can very easily turn into fantasy where there's no meat on the bones for you to really engage in like a real way. So when you have some sort of frame of reference for something you've actually felt, or you can even imagine what it would feel like to have an exchange of, money for your time, or in this case, make it money. Not nice thank yous, not oh, I'll give you a thumbs up on YouTube or a subscription, but here's cash, right? Here's cash for what you just did. And let that just connect to that. So, if you do sort of more traditional visualizing of things, add that to the mix. So yeah, like I said, if you have further questions on that, just leave a comment in the Facebook group or on the video itself after the replay is up, which it should be up in a matter of minutes. And thanks so much. Thanks to those of you who joined live. Really appreciate it, and for making this call beneficial to many others, including myself, by being willing to share your comments and what's going on for you. So thanks so much. I appreciate it, and look forward to seeing you the next time. There is another one of these on Thursday. It's not specifically money, but you can raise your hand or send an email, and we can work more on money if that's what's coming up for you, because it's just a general support call. So see you then. Thanks again.